Today in the Nerdy Gritty, can a war game be apolitical?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they make some man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am your Sergeant Fox, but Sergeant only in a non-political sense. Your neutral Sergeant.
Neutral
Your
sergeant.
fun gameplay Sergeant.
What makes a man neutral?
What makes a man neutral?
I am your Neo Do Sarjo, not actual military title, but faux military title Des in Pretend War.
In Pretend War, it has nothing to do with real life.
It has nothing to do with real life at all. Hey Fox, there was a Nintendo Direct recently.
There was yesterday as of recording this. And it has been received with mixed feelings. I've seen a lot of neutral / this game I'm actually kind of excited for because I like this series, Splatoon and stuff like that.
I've seen a lot of everything. Like, it's fine. Some people that are really excited for, the Secret of Mana.
Some people who are actually pretty excited for Project Triangle Strategy, which I really hope continues to be the name of that game because it's amazing.
I've seen some people be like, Nintendo is dead to me. This is stupid. Whatever else. But one thing Nintendo did announce in the Nintendo Direct is a new Mario Golf game.
Yeah, Mario Golf. What was the title? I forget the actual title.
Is
Super Strikers?
Super Rush.
Super Rush.
New Mario Golf Super Rush.
What it's called. This is the second Mario Golf game ever, right?
Yeah, or there was just Mario Golf before
There was Mario Golf on the N64.
Right. And Mario Golf was mostly a golf game, had some
Mario Tennis was popular, so I think they just like, what other sport can we do?
But Mario Golf Super Rush is introducing some crazy new things that make both you and I are like, we kind of want to play this game.
Actually, I want to play that.
Yeah.
If it's just straightforward golf, whatever.
But there's like a race mode where you can get power-ups and you're racing
are running
to hit into the hole.
Through the course against other people to complete the course faster than them, and that's super cool.
Yeah, but there's also a story
There's
mode.
also a golf story. Oh wait, Golf Story is another game.
That's a different game.
It's like an RPG that includes golf.
But that's apparently what this is
That's
supposed to be.
apparently what this might be.
So here's what we want to speculate. What sort of quests are we going to find in the story mode of Mario Golf Super Rush? And here's my first thought is, because it's for any like quest adventure game, you got to have the collectathons.
Well, of course.
Right
almost every quest has to be get me 6 of these things.
Right. So first, but it's got to be some sort of like skins of something, like wolf skins,
like
bear
rats
skins.
and rat skins.
But there aren't really those things in Mario Golf. So what sort of like useless creatures do they have there? And it's got to be caddies.
Yeah,
right?
just caddies.
10 caddy skins.
Yeah, you beam them with your golf ball as hard as you can.
They go unconscious
to kill them,
and then Mario just tears the skin off of a toad.
And then
because they all got to be toads.
Oh, sure. And then they take the animations from like Red Dead Redemption 2, where you're skinning.
When are the toads gonna unionize?
They really should,
because they're always doing the grunt work.
The Mario world is just the Mushroom Kingdom is a weird place. The politics are strange.
Yeah, because she's princess, but there's no king, right, or queen.
That's true. There's King Koopa.
Yeah, but he's king of something else.
But he's king of
different. Wait,
what is Bowser king of? What is his land? What land is he? What is his realm? What is he king? Is he a real king?
Maybe it's just Koopa Land. There is a land that you go to in like Super Mario 3 that he is in control of.
Oh, okay.
But
but then
forget the idea of quests.
Hold on. Let's deep dive into the Mario politics, because in Super Mario or in Mario Odyssey, he literally is just trying to make her marry him.
Yes.
Maybe that's for political power also.
Oh, he's trying to... Or maybe this is like his peace, offer. Like, hey, I want to combine our kingdoms and have a united power against other kingdoms.
It's a forced marriage.
Of course.
she's not into it.
But she's the princess. That happened all the time with
That's true. Yeah, it's not really about
royalty.
love. It's about power.
United Kingdoms, and so they would have a prince and a princess just get married to unite kingdoms. Okay. Well, anyway, what's going on in the news, Fox?
Well, so you remember that whole like GameStop thing that happened with like Wall Street and stuff?
For like a week? Yeah, I
Yeah.
do remember that.
It was a fun thing, and then it just led to nothing.
They were all like, just hang on to your, don't sell. And then a bunch of people sold, and then it just kind of became
Yeah, it just kind of fell apart. Yeah, whatever, it happens. It did thankfully reveal some issues with Wall Street that everybody knew about already, but now are a thing that are on more people's radar. Well, Keith Gill, the Redditor/YouTuber seen by many as the central figure in this whole thing that happened, I'm reading from a Polygon article here, he testified before the House Financial Services Committee. That it got to that point where now he's a Redditor/YouTuber.
Wow.
Who's
testifying.
Who's testifying in Congress for his role in this whole thing, which is kind of funny because, gamer going before Congress is funny.
Kidding.
But this is the first time, it is believed to be the first time in history that they accepted sworn testimony from a witness seated in a gaming chair.
Yes.
Specifically, this gaming chair. It is your brand. You have a Batman gaming chair now.
Is it really the Batman?
It's not that one. It's the House Lannister gaming chair from Game of
Secret
Thrones.
Labs. But it's a Secret Labs.
Yes, a Secret Labs Omega House Lannister variant. It's just the funniest thing.
You play a little bit of Hades, right? But not a lot.
I played through it. I played it and then beat Hades.
Through one complete run, right? You gotta beat Hades like 10 times to actually complete it. But...
I understand. I've played through it once and I was like, I've got other games to play. I'm gonna move on.
So it's pretty popular, though. I'm sure you've heard
quite
of
popular.
that.
They announced that they're bringing a physical copy to the Switch.
Yeah, it's coming with like all kinds of cool
art
music
stuff.
and art. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Did you know that pomegranates kind of play an important role in the game?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They're things you can give to gods, right? As like
no,
gifts?
That's nectar. Pomegranates help level up your boons. Well, Dylan Beck, also known as Rudism, which you probably have heard of before.
I feel like I've heard that name, yeah.
Right. Well, he decided to wire a controller out of pomegranates.
What? Why?
I'll show you this right here.
Oh, so he attached some wires.
He's got a bunch of wires and chunks of pomegranate.
And he just touches them.
And he just touches those spots of pomegranates, and that is a controller, and he has completed a run of Hades with a pomegranate.
I did recently see somebody who played they beat something on a regular controller but with their feet. And I'm trying to look that up right now. But I love when people just say, I'm going to do this for no reason.
Yes. It's the brilliance of the internet now of, you know what? There's a billion people who've completed a run of Hades.
Right.
How can I make mine unique?
Right. Remember when you used to think that playing
DDR
blindfolded
pad
was ridiculous?
I know. I watched, do you know the game, Ikagura?
Yeah.
It's like a bullet hell
where
you're playing, and there's like the black and the white.
Right.
A while back, I watched somebody play both sides of it and do a no-hit run with playing one plane on the left hand, one plane on the right hand, and doing a no-hit run of it. It's insane.
It's not only that they beat it, it's that they literally didn't take damage while playing.
Yes.
Well, what have you been up to?
Kind of a lot, actually, this week.
Yeah, me too. I've got a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about everything. I'm mostly going to talk about movies that I have watched. I've watched 4 movies this week.
All right.
The first one I'm going to talk about is Hiko's Journey. So this is a Netflix original, but made in Mexico.
A Netflix original, but
a Netflix original, but it was made in Mexico and then brought over here. It's an animated movie, and you can definitely tell that the production quality was much lower. And it's kind of funny because the villain is the most cliche villain. His villainous act is he's coming to the land to do fracking. Now, they don't really describe what fracking is.
He's just doing fracking?
He's like, we're going to be fracking the land for, they call it for its gold. And it's not, He doesn't literally mean like gold.
That's not how you get gold.
He means oil. Like they talk about oil.
Oh, I see.
But he always talks about the riches they'll get from fracking.
Sure.
And then he talks. It's weird because he'll just say like, "Oh, the delicious fracking." Like he is so excited about the fracking. Like really, really excited. He's absolutely a mustache curling villain.
Sure, okay.
That loves being a villain for the villainous side of it.
Yeah.
But he was really goofy and weird. But the reason I did like it is because it was actually a really cool look into old Mexican mythology.
Okay.
And so the main character has a Xolo dog, and that's Hiko. Hiko is a Xolo dog who is like a protector, and she doesn't know. She just thinks it's a dog, like a local dog in town. And they go to the mountain to try and stop the fracking from happening, and they end up encountering a bunch of different characters from Mexican myth.
I'll start with the movies too then. I first watched Judas and the Black Messiah.
Ooh, I've been thinking about that.
Yeah, it's one of the first, not the first, but one of the first Warner Brothers movies that are also simultaneously launching on HBO Max. They're in theaters wherever theaters are open, which is not around us. But so they're also on HBO Max, and this one is about the leader of the Black Panther Party Chicago chapter, and it's specifically about it. Actually, from the viewpoint of the man that the FBI hires to betray him, essentially.
Oh,
their confidential informant who gets into the Black Panthers chapter here and becomes friends with Fred Thompson is his name. I should look this up. But it was interesting. Like it was essentially a biopic.
right?
Or just like a historical, not documentary, but yeah,
a biopic. Yeah,
I guess. It's not really about somebody's life, but
oh,
it's about this very specific time.
okay.
Couple of months, really. I wish I liked it. I wish it were a little more. Here's the thing. I don't know if it was neutral or not. It definitely wants you to empathize more with the Black Panther side of it.
Right.
But at the same time, dang it, I need to look up his name. I'm very sorry.
Fred Rogers.
That's what it was.
Are
It's
you
about Fred Hampton, not Fred
There
Thompson.
it
Fred
is.
Hampton. It definitely wants you to empathize with him, and even to a certain extent, the guy, the person that they hire to, William O'Neill, played by Lakeith Stanfield. Fred Hampton is played by Daniel Kaluuya. Both really great. And Lakeith Stanfield is one of my favorite actors right now. But anyway, it wants you to empathize with both of them, even though one of them is playing the Judas figure.
right?
It wants you to empathize with the plight of the African Americans, and 100% you should. They are obviously going through some. They are being persecuted. They're just the history of America essentially is being shown right there. But at the same time, you have Fred Hampton giving these speeches about like killing a cop, get some satisfaction. Kill 2 cops, get more satisfaction. Kill all cops, get complete satisfaction. And you're like, I don't agree with that necessarily.
Right.
Like at the same time,
At all?
like obviously I don't agree with like the FBI basically spoilers because this is history.
Right.
They straight up murder him.
On an
Yeah.
exact same tonal
Same
level,
tonal note.
I watched Shorts by Troublemaker Studios, which is
Okay.
Troublemaker
is what's his name?
Robert Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez, yeah.
So people mostly know Robert Rodriguez for things like Grindhouse or whatever else.
Well,
But
no, the opposite. He is Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Exactly.
And also Machete.
Yes. He is
He's
Shark
the
Boy and
best.
Lava Girl. He is there's
Spy
another
Kids.
one, Spy Kids.
The
Yes,
Spy Kids trilogy.
this is that
Okay.
that line of movie called Shorts, and it was a movie that the whole premise of it was there's a small town that is kind of like an intel town where it pretty much exists to feed this huge
Yeah,
organization, but this is called the Black Box, and the Black Box is a machine that does anything essentially.
Okay.
But random thing, rock falls from the sky and it grants wishes,
Oh.
and different people get it, and they get different wishes, and the wishes all go wrong, of course.
Monkey's
And
paw situation.
monkey's paw situation, very, very much so. And then goofiness happens. It's called shorts because the kid who's telling it will tell it, and he'll be like, wait, no. Hang on, go back, because we need to learn about this first. And then it'll like tell a short story, and then it'll get to the end of that short story, and he'll be like, okay, but before that, this happened.
The other movie I watched was Malcolm and Marie,
Ooh.
which is a Netflix original. It is I learned the first movie that was filmed and completed all within like there have been more movies since then, but all within quarantine. And it is a bottle movie, like a bottle episode of a TV show where it's like one specific set,
right,
mostly about characters interacting with each other, not this is a bottle movie about two people, a successful a filmmaker and his girlfriend coming home after a premiere, his first really successful premiere of a movie.
Oh.
And the movie is entirely a relationship drama. It is about them talking about their relationship, fighting, like basically, having a very it's basically a relationship fight, but very like existential for that relationship, and really talking about the people. And it was not usually the kind of movie I'll watch, but I'll watch anything once, and
Right.
I always wanted to watch it. And so it was really interesting. I'll say this, it was too long. It was almost 2 hours long. And it was only too long. It wasn't too long for that kind of thing. It was only too long because I think it was a little unfocused. At the same time as it was, I would say it was like 70% relationship. Let's talk about us and each other and individually who we are and our histories and our past and, what we want in this relationship and how we treat each other. Then there's like a weird, like big, long drawn out section of Malcolm, John David Washington, kind of ranting about the film critic industry and about issues with it. And it definitely isn't out of nowhere. This whole catalyst is coming home from this premiere of this film he put out. But it just was too much. Like it felt like, it's too much. Like,
Yeah.
Bring it back in, guys. And you could have cut a bunch of that out, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and brought it down to like a solid hour and a half.
The last one that I'm going to talk about is my favorite movie that I watched this week, and it is genuinely fun.
Okay.
My Spy, starring Dave Bautista.
Oh yeah, man. How many movies of like that where it's like, look at how funny this action movie star is hanging out with a little
Kindergarten
kid.
Cop or The Pacifier.
Right, The Pacifier's the big one.
Those are all dumb.
He had a Jackie Chan one also.
Those are all dumb. I have watched all. Kindergarten Cop's not dumb, but it's fine. Pacifier's dumb. I've watched that before. This is good. This was so much fun. Let me rephrase that though, because it's not necessarily good in the way that not in the same way that The Little Things is good. This is not quality cinema.
Sure.
This is if you're willing to check your brain at the door, it is a delightful laugh out loud movie. I have not laughed this much because of a film in as long as I can remember. So good. Dave Bautista is a terrible actor.
Oh, 100%.
His companion, Chloe Coleman, is the girl in this, crushes it.
Okay.
She is the best actress in this film.
Wow.
Hands down. And she crushes it. And I've talked 100 times before about how a poor child actor can really damage a film or a TV show. She elevates this movie in a great, great way.
You know how for a million years I've been saying, I'm still playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Well, I finally finished
You
it.
did it!
I platinum trophied
I'm so sorry.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The game itself is very good, but too long.
Mm-hmm.
Far too long. You showed me a chart of like just how long like the Assassin's Creed games have taken, and this one I think story-wise was the longest.
80 hours.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much, guys. It doesn't make it for a better game. The problem is the stories that they tell in it are pretty good. Like the game is kind of made up so you are a Viking who's coming to England to essentially establish a new village and conquer the land, kind of. You don't like pillage everything. You kind of mostly make like alliances with the leadership that's already there and whatever. So it has different regions, and each region basically is its own story, its own vignette. and then they are connected to each other. Like when you call your allies, they will come and fight with you. And what they did really well is tell really cool stories in most of those. Like some of them are very cliche. Some of them are like, I really want to know what happens next. And then a lot of the characters are such that when they come back later, like, at the final big battle, you're like, oh, it's that person again. I really love that guy. I'm really glad you're here. Like, you genuinely like some of these characters. And I remember specifically their name and the thing I did with them.
That's cool.
Which is a low bar, but in an 80-hour game, if 60 hours later I remember your name and what I did with you, that's pretty good writing.
Yeah.
The problem is there's too many of them.
All right.
That's all I've got.
That's all I've got. Let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, before we get there, guys, we just want to give you another reminder that if you are listening to this, if you hear my voice right now, you're listening to an edited version of the Nerdy Gritty. Maybe you prefer that. Awesome. No problem at all. But if you like hearing us talk about what we've been up to, what movies we've been watching, things like that, then we recommend you head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/DestinFox, and become a tier 2 or higher member of our Patreon. And at that, you'll get the director's cut of the Nerdy Gritty, as long as a lot of other cool things that we have, like Patreon exclusive content and whatnot. We still have an entire playlist of videos that we have never even, it's Patreon exclusive, called the Bargain Bin. And it was way fun. Yeah. So head on over there, check out what we have for you guys. If that's not something that you can do, we totally understand. We really appreciate it if you just word of mouth, let people know about the Nerdy Gritty, get that word out there, tell everybody about it, and also check out our new logo. We're big fans of it.
Oh man, putting that in like the last weeks, I felt like a real professional for the first time.
Yeah, man, it's a real good logo.
After 157 episodes.
We're doing this for real
now. We're really podcasters.
Whatever it is, thank you guys so much for all your support. Now let's really get down to the Nerdy Gritty.
6 Days in Fallujah is a video game.
Yes, it is. Or it
So,
will be.
Here's the thing. Before we get into it, we've talked about this game before. In one of our very early episodes, we had a conversation about this game called 6 Days in Fallujah.
Did we?
Yes, we did. It was a long, long time ago.
What was the topic?
It was essentially, we talked about the idea of making a game. Okay, let me give you some background for this game.
Okay, yeah.
6 Days in Fallujah is a game that was originally announced in 2009.
Oh,
Game intended to be made to display the actual real-life second battle of Fallujah in the Iraq War.
Right.
That took place in 2004. So this was a game announced 5 years later.
Jeez.
And the idea was to create an accurate representation of that battle, including actual names of soldiers that took place.
Right.
And it was being influenced and guided by actual soldiers who were there.
Mm-hmm. I remember this.
It was a controversial idea. There were people, I believe, if I remember correctly, there was a family of one of the soldiers who died in the battle who was vehemently against it, spoke out against it. And what happened was Konami, who was going to publish this game, dropped it.
Right.
Because of the controversy. And our original that episode about it was essentially like, what should they have made it? Should they not have made it?
I remember it now.
Which makes sense. It's understandable that they would drop it, I think is where we came to, is understandable, very controversial, especially just a few years after this battle took place.
So soon.
Anyway, all that to say, it's back. 6 Days in Fallujah is back in production. Victura is the publisher, the new publisher.
Not very positive.
That's Victura is the new publisher. We're talking about an interview with him today.
Yeah.
With Peter Tamte, the head of Victura, and about what his intention is, what their intention is in making this game. Now remember, this is an actual battle that took place in the Iraq War. At this point, only 17 years ago? 17 years ago. This is a battle that's very controversial for the reported use of, not reported, confirmed use of
Phosphorus flares.
Phosphorus flares, essentially war crimes.
Yeah.
admitted by the CIA or FBI or the military, whatever, actual war crimes taking place here, thousands of lives lost, mostly by innocent Iraqi civilians.
Yeah, American, Iraqi, including civilian
including
lives.
mostly civilians as far
Yeah.
as who lost their lives. So very controversial battle in an already controversial war. And in this interview, the big thing that's drawing people's attention is that Peter Tamte, I'm gonna say Tamte, that's what I'm gonna go with, is that they are not intending on making a political commentary through this game. Oh no, the table! You've just tossed it because you're angry. They are apparently not trying to make a political commentary in this game. And what we want to talk about today is mostly, is that possible? And also, why is it not possible? And also,
why would you even try and say that you're
laugh
doing that?
a little bit?
Laugh
yes,
a lot.
Laugh a lot at this idea. But let's just talk about, like, why we're not even debating this.
No,
it's not really a debate. Nobody is debating it. Why?
Literally nobody.
Nobody.
Is.
I have not seen a single person. Even people who say, "Yeah, let's make this game." Even people, like everybody on every side is like, "You obviously it's a political game." But let's talk about that in the first place. Why is it not possible for this game to not be to make a political commentary?
Well, because it was a political moment. Whether or not your opinion is this was an important moment because the American soldiers were protecting, the world from terrorism.
Sure.
Or whether your opinion is these were war crimes, this is a shameful thing our country did. Whatever your opinion is, it's tied to a political stance.
Yes.
There is not a single person that is coming to this thinking to themselves, I mean, this doesn't mean anything though. Like there's nothing going on here. If this were space war and you were shooting aliens or whatever else, that would be different. The moment you chose for this to be a real battle based on real events, you made it political no matter what. You can't get away from that.
Sure, I'll agree with you there that it's because it's a real thing, it is no matter what. I will also say that space war against aliens is also going to make a political statement. Mass Effect made lots of political statements, and there was lots of war against made-up aliens in that.
But you could be a person to go into Mass Effect and play it and think it was fun and never really think about the political impact of it.
It's a possibility.
It is a possibility.
It's unlikely, hopefully, because you want to analyze what you're consuming.
Well, also because they wanted to do
they
that.
wanted
There's
to.
a
Mass
goal
Effect
there,
was
yes.
intentionally political, 100%. But yeah, what you're saying is that this is a real life battle that took place between two political entities,
yes.
the United States and Iraq, and also, terrorist organizations and things like that. Like, it is by definition, I would say, war is by definition a political act. And if you are portraying that, even if it's as neutral as possible, it is still going to be a political in nature.
Well, because you're going to formulate an opinion. The moment you say this is based on history,
yes,
and you play, maybe you play this game and the game is as neutral as humanly possible. The player is going to form an opinion on historical events, and that's a political opinion, whether you want it to be or not. If you think to yourself, I'm glad this is happening, it's a good thing America did this, or you think to yourself, this was horrific, or maybe you think to yourself, wow, this is a really complicated issue. And yeah, I can see where some people might think this is good, but at the same time, it also is really heartbreaking and tragic. That is still a political opinion. Like that,
yes.
No matter what,
it is
you're
all
facing
political.
an opinion. Yes.
Yes. I want to read the expanded version of that quote. That was a very small part of. There's a whole interview here on Polygon that I recommend going to read.
Yeah,
it's unintentionally hilarious at times.
Jeez.
Throughout. But here's a bigger quote. This is from Peter Tamte of Victura. I think reasonable people can disagree with that. Responding to the interviewer saying that it's political in nature.
Right.
He told Polygon of his narrative strategy. For us as a team, it is really about helping players understand the complexity of urban combat. It's about the experiences of that individual that is now there because of political decisions. and we do not want to show how choices that are made by policymakers. Wait, hold on. And we do want to show how I read that wrong. We do want to show how choices that are made by policymakers affect the choices that a Marine needs to make on the battlefield.
That's
just
political.
as that Marine cannot second guess those choices by the policymakers. We are not trying to make a political commentary about whether or not the war itself was a good or bad idea. There's a level of like disconnect of just like this. What do you think you're doing? You yourself literally just said we're making a game about policy from politicians,
and
but
how
not
that impacts
talking
our
about
Marines.
Yes.
So I guess I think what he's trying to say in that phrase is we're not trying to communicate our political opinion of it. We are trying to be neutral. We are going to describe events and exactly what happened in those events, but we are not going to try to push an agenda on you, is I think what he's trying to say there. But even then, you can't not do that.
It's impossible.
Yes, because the way that your cinematography.
Yes.
What do you pan in on a soldier's face as he's hearing these issues?
Yeah.
Does that soldier's face kind of cringe or like become crestfallen? Guess what? You just made a political agenda in that by showing that this hurts the Marines to do
you've
this.
shown a take. You've shown a subjective idea about what is happening.
Right. Or maybe you don't show that. Maybe it's, as you're hearing that, you're just seeing a panning shot of the city. Guess what? That's still making a statement on this is how it's going to impact the city. It's how it's going to impact the civilians. There is nothing you can do that will not communicate some sort of agenda in this.
Right.
Other than have even a black screen could and would communicate an agenda
100%.
of some sort. Yes.
It's art is inherently telling you something no matter what they are doing
Right.
at the time, no matter what they're portraying, it is telling you something. And the problem is here, like one of the problems here is if you are not trying to get across a particular idea, then to me you're just making worse art.
Yeah.
Since if it is impossible to be entirely neutral in something like this, then I believe that you should be trying to portray a certain idea or agenda. The word agenda gets a bad rap. It gets like usually it's just people who don't like what people are doing, where they say they're just trying to push their agenda. But that statement in and of itself is you trying to push your agenda.
Right.
It's a neutral statement. And so if you are not trying to say something, then what are you doing? What's the point of what you're doing? It's entirely pointless to do. Like, then you're just going to look like fools because what you said was, well, that was all unintentional. Like, oops, we made a war.
And this is exactly what I mean when I say, if you don't want to have an agenda, I understand if you make StarCraft. It's a war game that's not, I mean, yes, there are politics involved, but mostly it's tyranny and not wanting tyranny. That's still a political statement, but still, like, it is a mostly neutral game as far as politics go, and it's a war game. If you're going to choose Fallujah, a real, very controversial event, then there must be political ties to that, whether you want them to be there or not. There will be political ties to that.
So here's another issue that flies in the face of what he just said in that statement.
Right.
Is the fact that they are actively choosing not to portray the alleged atrocities that, quote, may have been confirmed to have taken place. They are actively choosing not to portray those in this game, which in and of itself is a political statement. What their explanation for that is the people we've directly interviewed that were part of this did not tell us anything, did not take place, and so therefore we are not portraying that. But at the same time as, like, the other issue you're falling into here is incorrectly portraying a historical event. And that in of itself is also giving us your agenda.
Or, okay, and again, maybe you're of the opinion that these things actually didn't happen. Maybe you buy into some conspiracy. That's still a political stance.
Yes.
And if he says, we believe that these didn't happen, or we believe it's possible that these didn't happen, and therefore we don't want to portray them because it's possible they never happened, that is still a political stance.
It is so. To me, it is akin to saying we're making a World War II game about the Allied assaults on Europe, and we're not going to be portraying anything in the Holocaust, any of the camps or anything, because this, who we specifically talked to didn't say anything about that. So we're just not going to, for us, it's just about warfare tactics. Like, to me, this is just cowardice mostly. It's just
really
like,
sounds like that.
I don't understand the point of what you're doing if you're not trying to portray something specific.
Honestly, if they want to not be political in it, they this is not the choice. They cannot choose this event and not be political.
Right.
It's absolutely impossible.
It is a weird. It's just a weird choice.
It is very
to
weird.
me. This is like, I don't understand why you would create, like, even pitch this game if you are not intending to portray a certain agenda or a certain story that is being told. Because as soon as you make it about real people, again, then you are telling a specific story, a specific viewpoint about people who have a specific experience in this that is biased, it is subjective, it is, in certain ways. And it's just, I don't understand, to me, this feels like they're just trying to avoid controversy, maybe?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, it's not political, but instead of, like, avoiding controversy, they're just being laughed at now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, of course, what? You just look like dummies.
Even the old Battlefield, Medal of Honor, Call of Duty games based on World War II, yes, I think we can all agree the Allies were good and the Axis were bad.
In most people's viewpoint, yes.
That's still a political statement.
That is still a political statement. No matter how commonly held a belief is, it is still a belief.
Yes.
It is not a fact.
So let's switch gears here a little bit then.
Yes.
You and I agree this is bonkers.
Right.
How, like,
we can dunk on him
come
all day
on,
long.
dude.
We don't
Yes.
need to do that forever, though.
But let's kind of address the question that we talked about originally is, can you make an apolitical war game? Is it even possible to make a game that is involving combat between two nations of some sort, forces of some sort, and have it be apolitical?
I personally don't believe so.
Why not?
Because to me, war is a political action.
Hmm.
That obviously very clearly affects people in a very practical, personal way.
Yeah.
In many, many ways, but it is in and of itself a political action. One nation state has an issue with another nation state or another organization. It's not always nations against nations. We have a civil war in America's history, and lots of civil wars happening right now, actually. But they're still always politically ideological in nature. This is how things should be happening, either here in this country, and we're going to change it through war, or what you are doing in your country is not okay. You invaded us, or you're fighting us, or the things you're doing to your people are, it's always political in nature. Again, sometimes those reasons can be understandable, and not like, Allies or America getting involved in World War II. There's a whole lot going on there, but it is fairly common that people understand, yes, that made sense for us to do. It's not the most controversial thing in the world that we got into World War II. Like, most people are going to say, I understand what happened. That doesn't make it an apolitical event, though. It still was one nation state going to war against other nation states because of their political leanings, their political activity. So I don't think it is even, and I'll take that a step farther. I don't think you can make a fictional war. I don't think Mass Effect wars or StarCraft wars can be apolitical either, because again, they are certain nation states or factions fighting against each other for political gain or reasons or whatever. Every war portrayed in history is a political action in any game or in real life. So I don't think it is. I think it is just a pipe dream to say this is apolitical.
So what about, I'm trying to remember the name of the games here. I think it was Resistance. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Resistance games. So if you guys don't know the premise of the games, it's World War II, and you're about to go to war, but instead of you fighting the Nazis, aliens land.
The Helgast.
Yeah, and you are Helgast were Killzone, weren't they?
Oh yeah, I'm mixing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
But aliens land, and these are aliens that exist to kill you.
Sure.
And that's it. Like, basically, this is an invading force that just wants to take over. It is a war game. You are running around, you are shooting aliens, and most of them are bestial. Some of them are more like carrying guns and shooting you and things like that. But the world is they're trying to take over the world because they're twirling mustache evil
Right.
aliens.
They're not depthful villains, but they
Right.
are villains.
So,
as
I mean,
portrayed.
would you still consider that a political statement being made there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the faction then becomes Earth. And if you want your faction to maintain existence or power, then you fight back. Their reasons there are understandable of actual existence, but it is still like what they could have done was nothing. But they decided, no, what we want to do is continue to exist as a planet. And I think that is in and of itself like
we will not go quietly into that good night.
Sure.
We will not go down without a fight.
See, that movie, even though it's ridiculous, is very political in nature.
It really is.
He makes an incredibly political, it's called Independence Day.
Yeah.
Clearly influenced by American politics. And so I don't think it is possible. Yes, sometimes it is not depthful. It is not like nuance. It is one, because there have been actual real life instances of one nation invading another nation in order to there are genocides there that is we want to kill you, and usually it's because of reasons of who you are, your people group, your faction. We as a faction are superior and we are going to take over. So there, even if it is a mustache twirling force of space aliens, their reasons can still be political.
I think I agree with you. I understand what you're saying, that everything is going to be representative of an organization. And when an organization as a whole represents a stance, that is politics.
Yes.
And that's
at its very basic level.
Yeah,
that is a political idea. Yes.
Right. I agree with that statement. I do think that there is a way to make a war video game so it's not making a relevant political statement, one that does not really impact. So, off the top of my head, I'm going to go with Warcraft 3.
Okay.
Warcraft 3 there's the orcs and the humans,
sure,
and they've been warring against each other for Warcraft 1
they've been crafting a war for a while.
Yeah. But in Warcraft 3, the undead come into play. And the undead are the mustache-twirling villains. They want to make the whole world undead, and now the orcs and the humans ally together to fight against the undead. Now that is it's a political statement.
Yes.
Absolutely, that's very, very political. But I don't think it's one that has to be relevant to anything.
It's very removed from like real life politics, for sure. Which means it's much easier to enjoy without thinking about the political nature of it.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Oh, I agree with you there. Not everything is gonna instantly make you think of this is politics.
Because when you play Mass Effect, though, it's the opposite.
Yes.
Mass Effect absolutely has relevant political intrigue and, government corruption and all this other crazy stuff going on. And at the very end of Mass Effect 1, spoilers for a very old game, at the end of Mass Effect 1, you have to choose who becomes the new leaders of everything, right? Like, and
who gets on the council.
Yeah, and that plays a huge role in Mass Effect 2 as well.
Whether they are certain races or not.
Yeah. A lot of racial stuff in that
Yes.
as well. Yeah, absolutely. Same thing with the Dragon Age games.
Yeah.
Hugely political and modern relevant politics. But I do think you can make a war game. I think I agree with you. They will always be political in the most base definition of politics. But I think you can make war games that don't have to be relevant to politics.
Yeah, what I think that largely hinges on is what you are asked to do as the player. In Mass Effect, you are directly asked, you are playing as Shepard, and you are asked, hey, who gets to be the ruling council? Humans or aliens or both?
Yeah.
And you get to make that choice. You can be a xenophobic, guy who says, I don't trust any aliens, it's all humans. In Warcraft, there's not really somebody asking you what political action do you want to take. It's much more removed. You are far above it, and it's really just about the numbers.
Yeah.
It's really what's just portrayed and what you are asked to specifically do. Because really, you could make Warcraft a much more relevant political game if you play a specific character who is then, if you make it about, oh, we only have, oh, their people killed our innocents. We have to, let's make a choice to go. No, that's all removed from it. It's only political in the fact that it's just ruling factions fighting against each other for certain gain or for, existence or for domination or whatever. But the more granular you get, the more relevant and obvious the politics become. And 6 Days in Fallujah is about as granular as you can possibly be.
It is still bonkers to me that he would choose any event that is very real, particularly this one.
Yes.
And say, we're coming from an apolitical stance, though.
The question is here, I'm not sure if Victura, they're the publisher. I wonder if, I don't think they're actually making the game. They're the publisher. I can't find here who's developing it. Did the developer of the game, the people who originally started it, were they like, why did he just say that? What is he talk? What? No. No.
Hey guys.
Hey.
No.
Do you not understand what we're doing? Are you new here? So here's a question I want to talk about, though, in kind of a same vein. Is there a way? Really, the question is here. If you either need to lean into it, in my opinion, you need to lean into here's what happened or not make it at all.
Yeah.
If you want that what I'm saying is if you want to make it non-political, I guess. Here's exactly what happened or nothing. Don't make the game. You're still going to obviously be, as you said, going to be portraying a stance if you try to portray what happened because you can't possibly do everything.
Right.
That's an impossible thing. You weren't there. History is written by the winners. We don't know exactly what happened. Even if we have very detailed reports, we don't know all of what happened.
Yeah. And
so how could they, here's the question, how could they make as non-political statement as possible? Is there any way that they could go into this game saying, okay, we're going to portray non-political Second Battle of Fallujah?
I think the coolest thing that they could do, and this would be the most hands-off political thing on their part, this would be absolutely political, but most hands-off political on their part, would be to have narration of the soldiers' descriptions, literally reading their reports, and have narrators come in, and then have you playing through those parts, and you essentially play step by step through the history. Maybe it's civilian reports.
Okay.
Maybe it's and it's little vignettes of something comes on the screen. It says civilian report number 85217.
But it's actual historical reports.
And historical reports,
not just what we thought maybe somebody experienced. Right. Okay.
And that's the only thing you do. The only thing you do is exactly what's being reported, and you say, this is a game in which you play through the historical reports of the Battle of Fallujah.
That'd be interesting.
And that's all you say. You don't say, we want you to have this opinion of it. You don't say that we're coming from this stance. We are saying you are playing through the reports of the Battle of Fallujah. And then you play through those reports. And maybe sometimes you play as a civilian.
Yeah.
Running away.
They have talked about that. That is actually going to be happening, that you will play. Again, contradicting what he said before, he makes it a clear point. You won't be playing as an insurgent. Don't worry. Again, political statement right there, my friend.
Yeah.
You are saying that, don't worry, you won't play as, based on your tone, the bad guy.
Yes. The word insurgent is a political word.
It is a political word. Yes. Anyway, yeah, so I like that. I didn't think about that. Literally put it on screen. Here is an actual historical document. Maybe even if you can, get the people who wrote them to narrate them.
Oh, and it'd be so cool to have you go up to a scene and then you kick in the door and then the screen goes black and the word redact is right in the middle.
Oh,
and then,
man!
And it's there for 3 seconds, and then when it comes back, you're exiting the building.
You are,
or something like that.
You are still making a statement there. The way I cannot picture that in a way that's not something bad must have happened, commenting on it, but it is still as neutral as it can be.
And it's exactly what the historical
document
says.
It said.
You are not trying to. I think if you tried to fill that blank in the middle where it's redacted,
right,
that would be more of a political statement.
You'd be deciding what happened in a historic. Yeah,
absolutely.
You'd also have run the risk of being historically inaccurate, which you also don't want to be in this. See, that would be super interesting. I think the goal here for them is to not be apolitical because it's impossible, but to remove their own voice as much as possible.
Yes.
To make sure to just they don't want to be present. It's like a reporter not wanting to become the news story, just to be reporting the news. It's impossible to write something that doesn't have a viewpoint, but you should not be part of that story. You should not be influencing the events. And this publisher, this developer should be essentially playing interactive reporter. We are creating this as historical event. And if they did that really well, this would be one of the coolest games of all time.
Absolutely.
It would be one of the best examples of video games in general. It would be the first person shooter in a long time
that you'd want to play.
Like as far as war events, Call of Duty style first person shooter. Played a lot of Borderlands, but like it'd be the first one to be like, yes, sign me up. I'm on board. Please continue to do this. Do this with World War II at the same time. Like, just like getting really specific here. They've done stuff like that in games, but it's still a little more sensational than it is, I think, in in World War II games as we've seen.
Right.
It's more about the experience rather than the historical reporting on what happened. And I think you could do that and go to Vietnam, go to Korea, go like you're kind of making a new genre where you're kind of like historical first-person shooter.
I would play the crap out of games like that.
You would play crap.
I would play crap. If the game was bad but still had historical context, yeah, I'd play crap. I would.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
But I think that our government would probably never let a game like that be made, unfortunately, unless we go back to like the Civil War and earlier.
Yeah.
Even the Vietnam War, I think, would be too recent. Maybe World War II, but even then, there's some people that still fantasize. Like, did you see Fury?
I did. Yeah,
Brad Pitt,
yeah.
that portrayed.
I liked it.
It's very good, but also the Allies did some pretty horrific
did not portray
things,
the main characters in a positive light.
but it was accurate, historically accurate. And so I don't know if they would I'm not gonna say let them, but I don't know if they'd give them access to files.
That'd really be the issue, is what could they possibly get? Now, obviously see that I don't really know much about that. That would be the real barrier they'd come up against, is how much maybe they want to do that, but they can't because a battle from 17 years ago, a lot of it's, too
Classified.
redacted to know anything about it.
Yeah.
At a certain point, though, they are interviewing actual soldiers. Those soldiers are going to be inputting their own subjective nature into it, but it is still first-person testimony of what actually happened. So, yeah, see, this is a game that could be entirely stupid or entirely, groundbreaking for what it does. Something that, there have been plenty of historically accurate war movies, but those are entirely, you watch what happened. But to play through it and to put yourself in the shoes of the people committing these acts, whatever they are, could be a game changer. Video game changer.
Stop right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about the lives of human beings.
You're getting my hopes up for a game that probably won't happen.
No, that won't happen.
And it's unfortunate.
Well, guys, let us know what you think about the 6 days of Fallujah and the idea that they're not trying to push any sort of agenda or any sort of politics while they're making this game. Let us know what you think about war games in general. Can they be apolitical, or is everything inherently political when it comes to war? Let us know what you think of our opinions, and whatever else thoughts you have in your mind, hey, let us know. Big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do some of my neighbors, off of the album Dear Sam. Go check out Granger. They're real good.
Yeah. Also, want to point you, join our Discord. We have a link to our Discord down in the description below. We have conversations like this kind of just on the regular, or we'll talk in there when, we for the Game Awards last year, a bunch of us just kind of talked about the Game Awards as they were happening, and super fun. So jump in our Discord. We'd really love some more voices in there to get more viewpoints, and then we'll totally take your opinions and use them in these and portray them as our own. Now, also check out our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/DazandFoxPlay. There's a link to that down below. Also, we play lots of games. We just finished Night in the Woods, which was a surprising game. I had never played it and just did not expect what happened. And it also talked a lot about mental health in an interesting way, and a very honest way, I felt. And so it was really cool to play. So go watch that. It's going to end next week. And anyway, we've got a lot of stuff on there. Go check out our YouTube channel.
It'll end this week.
Something like
The
that.
week that they're hearing this.
Oh, the week that they're hearing this. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. In fact, I think the final episode might be the day that they're hearing this.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
You can watch
All
the
right.
whole thing right now.
Thanks again, guys.
Maybe.
And always remember that save games, save lives.
Bye.
My voice sings